Greetings and welcome. It's Dr. Jonathan with another live Sunday gathering with the Althea Center. Hopefully our community is out there feeling strong and doing the deep work that is arising in this strange and complicated time. Today we will look directly and fearlessly at the division and chaos in the world, in particular as we are rooted in the very heart of the United States here in Colorado. We will be talking about race and division and what a deep spiritual view has to say about all that. What's our role? What's our part? How do we find our way? How do we find peace? And how do we make a difference? So, having said that, we're going to take a moment for a few announcements as we get ready to begin. As always, we are graciously and gratefully accepting your donations during our gathering. We are thrilled if you are sending your little loves and likes and greetings to each other, because I think it means a lot to our community members who might be isolated or feeling a little alone. Let them know that you're out there too and that you love them. Class is coming up tomorrow, June 1st, from 1:30 to 3:30. I will be teaching a live Zoom class on something that I'm calling shamanic mysticism. So that means mysticism, the path of oneness with influences from nature-based shamanic tradition. Also, don't forget, Alice Brink, who did just an amazing class last Wednesday, has her new workshop series coming up, Hello Energy. It's 4 sessions. It starts Tuesday the 2nd. Then, starting June 3rd, our very own and beloved Karina Smith is teaching a one-time free class, Breath and Embodiment. All this is live here on Facebook. And then we will have more upcoming sessions, including Qigong with Dr. Taraz and Healing Meditations with Suzanne Hunt. Exploration continues on Thursdays, and that is at 11 o'clock for about 45 minutes. We will do another Zoom call so we can actually talk and dialogue and exchange. There are all kinds of wonderful things coming up at Althea. We will stay together, we will stay strong, and we will continue to support each other through growth and learning throughout the summer. If you want to know more, go to the Althea webpage and check out classes and events. On another note, speaking of donations and how much your support matters to us while our doors are physically closed, we are raising the last of $400 for a special dining room chair and table restoration project. This comes actually from our Althea Kids program. Riley, one of the older kids in the program, is a part of a Boy Scout troop. Him and his family, along with Daryl from Althea, are leading the way in helping with this special project to renew and recover our beautiful dining room furniture. We're looking for $300 more, so please, if you can help with that, a $300 donation, and we will have a beautiful, brand renewed furniture for the dining room for when we get back together. That would be great. If you missed the annual general meeting, it was a wonderful, wonderful time. People were so thoughtful and caring and respectful. Our annual report is still available online. And let's just say we celebrated an extraordinary 2019. And despite all the weirdness in the world, we are looking forward to our future and staying strong together and in this world to create a harbor for harmony, peace, and meaningful real life connection. All right, with that, I have my trusty tablet here. So if you need anything urgent, you can message here. Susan, our beloved Susan, is looking after the dashboard, so to speak, so she can communicate to me if we need anything or if I forgot anything. I think that's it. That sound good? I'm going to say all that again at the end, really quickly. So today we are diving into some very difficult topics. Today, I am wearing black in honor of the life and tragic murder of George Floyd. What's more painful is that his passing, though it has ignited this country like a powder keg of explosives, is really just one in a series of needless, senseless murders of black people at the hands of officials in just the first 5 months of this year. And while we absolutely respect the hard work of all of our frontline service workers, people working hard to uphold peace and justice and health in this country, we do honor and dignify all physicians, police, fire workers, EMTs, who uphold the safety of our community in a spirit of safety for all. God bless them, protect them, and may they be supported in their good work, and may this be the end of the hard, tireless, thankless work of our law enforcement community at the hands of a minority of them that are literally destroying the fabric of this society through their abuse of power and race. Now, why is this an Althea topic? This is an Althea topic because if we speak every week about how we are all one in spirit, that we are all family in spirit, that we can learn from all settings and all situations and all people, then the suffering of one is the suffering of all. And the absolute outright injustice faced by one or some must come at a consequence to all, and obviously demonstrates a deep shadow that we carry together. So we are going to look at this with love, with curiosity, and we're going to leave with some simple understandings about how this happens and how we can be a part of finding peace and creating change in our own lives and in the world. So to get centered, actually, what I'd like to do is take a few deep breaths, slow down and settle down, and then we will move into our statement of being. After that, I will offer a healing prayer, and then some readings that will really be the springboard into our message of today. So, light your smudges, drink your water, get ready. We're going in. So, taking a deep breath, letting your eyes closed. Big breath in through the nose, long, slow breath out. And then again, real exaggerated breath in. Feel yourself slowing down and settling down. Imagine that with each long exhale, you are releasing fear, worry, uncertainty, any challenges, any anxiety that is arising through the state of our world today, or through your own journey, your own life journey, and your own challenges of balance, imbalance, creation and destruction. So staying with our eyes closed, staying with our breath long out. You want to breathe out so long that your stomach muscles contract. You can feel yourself releasing everything you can. Let it go, let it go, let it go. And then a soft, full breath in through the nose. Whatever emotion, whatever stories, whatever situations are filling and plaguing your world today, for now we settle somewhere deeper, somewhere quiet. and in this stillness and the silence that you are listening to, we affirm the ultimate truth that when our eyes are closed, we see rightly through the heart. That there is no distance between us, no matter when you hear this or watch this. There is no difference between us at our core, no matter the color of our skin, no matter the difference in our culture or politic or wealth. In our innermost being, the silence from which our souls emerge every day, from which our consciousness emerges every day, that silence is our shared truth. And we are one in spirit. And this has really been the vision, the mission, the message of our community since its inception over 130 years ago. And so let us affirm this oneness of life in spirit through reading our statement of being together. And probably Susan's going to pop it up there if you forget what it is. I was just thinking I could cut and paste from my tablet to the screen, but my finger's not that powerful. So staying with your breath, staying tuned in, staying connected, we affirm God is all, both invisible and visible, one presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. We are individualized expressions of God and are ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. When we say this, if we feel it from the heart, and if we engage it with the mind, we are reminding ourselves again and again and again that no matter what we face, no matter what we see, no matter what is taken or done, all things occur within spirit. And it does not mean that spirit agrees or blesses or endorses all things. It means spirit is the source, the substance, the nature of our reality, and freedom to choose and create and destroy is a part of that. And that is for us to face. When we affirm that spirit is one and all, and we see violence, we see oppression, we see abuse, we see neglect in our world, it is not the result of the Spirit. In fact, it appears to be the result of what happens when we live out of balance with Spirit, when we forget that one is all and all is one. The outcome is violence. So I have a couple of readings that I wanted to share to start. One of them actually comes right from Colorado, a professor from Naropa University, the Naropa Institute, Ann Parker. This was actually written years ago. And it's a prayer. It's a prayer for our world, and I think it speaks in many ways to what many of us are longing to hear and feel and see. And yet it reminds us of how we might pray in difficult times. I am praying with my body. Life speeds up in a frenzy of email and phone messages, breathe, slow down, sit. Walking along the Front Range, breathing in ponderosa pine. I am praying with my speech, speaking real experiences, breaking the chains of money, time, things, speaking words with the power to heal. I am praying with my mind. Remember the power of intent, caring, light and heart pouring out over the great plains, spilling in all directions, praying. I am praying with my hands, holding your hand. I remember this is a gift of love from the heart of the universe, every moment precious. I am praying with my heart, holding you, dear, you who are my brother, sister, mother, father. Like this, we can balance the world. And then, a reading that will be the springboard for our discussion, and it comes from a Presbyterian minister in Georgia, Clinton Marsh. And he writes, or it was in his sermon that he said, "And now I am supposed to say to you, go in peace. But how can I say go in peace with you going out into a world where you are insecure, whether at home or on your neighborhood street? Out in a world where race is set against race and ethnic cleansing is the newscaster's name for genocide. Out into a world where people are hungry and homeless while their governments squander billions of dollars on instruments of destructions and corporate bailouts. Out in a world where every night millions of mothers watch their children sink into a hungry slumber only to awaken, if they awaken, to another hungry tomorrow. With a world like that out there, how can I say, go in peace? But I dare say, go in peace. Because Jesus said, I give you my peace, but remember, he who says, I give you my peace, also says, if you would be my disciple and have my peace, then take up your cross and follow me. So I dare say, go in peace if you dare. Now, the heart of his message, Reverend Clinton Marsh of Presbyterian Peace Fellowship in Georgia, the heart of his message is that one of the greatest teachers of peace, Jesus, made it very clear that if you are committed to peace, then you must take up the cross. Now, what on earth does that mean in a time of violence, racial tension, and social upheaval over whether we should social distance or not? Well, it actually takes us back to a message we talked about on Easter, and the idea that the cross signifies Christ's integration of all dimensions of consciousness. Not a Christian message, but a global message, a human message, a spiritual message. That the only way to transcend the suffering of this life and to advocate for the good of all, we must take the vertical power of ascension, direct relationship with spirit, hierarchy, masculine energy, technology, materialism, all the things that exist on a vertical scale. And we must learn to blend them, infuse them, temper them with the horizontal path. The horizontal path of relationship, community, nature, connection, honoring the female and the feminine spirit in all of us. Mother consciousness, grandmother consciousness. Only when we have the balance of these two dimensions can we know peace, and we will become peacemakers. And so what he's saying is that if you're going to embrace peace in your life, if you're overwhelmed with what's going on and you just want your own little moment of safety and security and to not be worried just for a moment about what our financial future will be, about what our social future will be, about what our racial future will be, then the peace that you want, if it's going to be sustainable, if it's going to be real, if it's going to be more than a distraction or a spiritual bypass, it's going to be rooted in the truth of this world. That you have the capacity to open your heart to all that is, because all is one in spirit. And from that still center point, find your own unique relationship to the turmoil and the trouble in the world. And you will not push away sadness. You will not push away suffering. You will not push away injustice, and not because you are motivated by pain, revenge, fear, your own trauma and grief. No, because you will have developed the ability to listen to the longing of life itself. When you listen to the still, silent voice of spirit unfolding within you as you, then you will both find your inner peace with self, acceptance of the world as it is, and the power to understand that you can, will, and must do something to amplify that peace and harmony in the world. For we know that as we are aligned with the nature of things, with the oneness of life, we create beauty. We create sustainability. It won't be easy, it won't be comfortable, but we can create systems that care for all, that divide not, and that prosper in the delight of nature, technology, creativity, the arts, all that is human and beautiful, but in relationships of mutual healing, affirmation, and abundance, and not from the root of fear. So, let's break this down in another way or from another perspective. Many of you have heard me talk about the idea that true spiritual maturity, true spiritual awakening unfolds through the wholeness of being human. That full, complete spirituality or evolved, awakened spirituality is not the denial of parts of self, not the shaming of parts of life, not the escape of the world as it is by ascension or transcendence. No. Instead, what we discover is that as we mature spiritually, the heart opens and opens to the fullness of who we are and the fullness of the world itself. In that way, we discover that we are spiritual beings, intellectual beings, emotional beings, and we certainly are physical beings while on this earth and living in this way. And we remember that when these 4 dimensions of self come into harmony and balance, then peace follows, healing follows, regeneration follows. And when we live big or small in ways that perpetuate the imbalance of these 4 forces, then struggle follows, violence follows, and a downward spiral into the same. Some of you have heard me talk about this before, the right relationship between the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual dimensions of who we are. And what I'd like to do is very quickly give you a little reminder of how each can flow to the next, and how the cycle that is out of the balance can lead to police brutality and racial riots and the breakdown of basic decency and kindness in our communities because people can't respect each other's simple health decisions and needs, much less their relationships, their gender, their sexuality. So when you look at these 4 dimensions, what we know is that when the world is out of balance, when you are out of balance, it starts with the emotional world. It starts with the fire of your history and your pain. When someone says something that triggers you, when someone does something that triggers you, it's not triggering you because it is innately unjust, although we'll get to that a little bit later. But if your reaction is unconscious and unproductive and destructive, then it has tapped into a wound or a history. And as we can see today, that can be in an individual, wound and history, in a couple, wound and history, a family, wound and history, a race, or a gender. In Black America, there is a deep wound and a very real history that the persecution of today, the injustice of today, is still built on the consciousness of slavery and dehumanization in the past. It cannot be denied. And yet, is that the productive, powerful place to initiate change from? It's a motivator, but can we dialogue like that? When we see the explosion of the Me Too movement, there is a real history of pain, of violence, of systemic silence in the abuse of women in corporate settings and the world in general. But is that the place to begin? So we move from emotion immediately into action. When we are unconscious, when we are unaware, we go immediately from the wound and the history right into action, shooting out hateful, spiteful messages on the internet, wanting blood, wanting revenge, saying and doing things that not only attack those who represent those who've attacked us, but in some cases even sabotaging ourselves. But in this unhealthy cycle, in this cycle of violence, we move from emotion to action instantly, and then the mind, the intellect, comes along to rationalize, to blame. If only you knew what I'd been through. If only you knew what they'd done. If only you knew what he did or they did. And the problem with this is that it's not necessarily incorrect or inaccurate. The problem is that in that blame, justification, and rationalization of the violent words and deeds, the divisive words and deeds, the revenge and hatred, it becomes perpetuated. So I have to act from this place or nothing will change. That's the story we tell ourselves, regardless of what change or on what scale. And then if there's a spiritual life at all, it's disconnected. We go for a little time with our yoga teacher, our church, our synagogue, our mosque, our temple, our sweat lodge, whatever it is, whatever our band, our community, our gang, our tribe, whatever our spiritual family is, and we go to medicate ourselves with a little comfort, a little relaxation, a little community, a little distraction. But then we repeat the cycle that goes from emotion to reactive behavior to justifying thinking, and we all end up in a horrible system of imbalance and self-perpetuating disenfranchisement, self-perpetuating despair, self-perpetuating division. But you see, you've got to remember that emotions are built to feel personal, permanent, and pervasive. So when you feel the rage or sorrow showing up at the pain of what you see in the world, it feels like it will never end. It feels like you're hopeless or powerless. It feels like it's coming down right on you. But that's not entirely true. That's true as a feeling, but not as a fact. If we flip this system of chaos upside down, then we take these 4 dimensions and we start in reverse. First, with spirit. No matter what the horror is in the world, we must find a way to return to the sacred, to return to stillness, to return to silence and the vantage point from which we can see, feel, and affirm that we are all one in spirit. This does not excuse the perpetrators of violence or inequality, but it gives us a different power. First, we can speak from a place of clarity and not reactivity. We can speak in a way that engages and can be heard. We act from a place of clarity and not the fire of chaos and emotion. And if we seek to change minds, change lives, and save communities and dignity, then we must start with spirit and find that place where we understand that in the vast billions and billions of years that life has been unfolding, this too shall pass. All things are evolving, and we are embedded in the design of spirit, and that is our ally in times of change. But we can't access that grace and peace and love and wisdom to nourish ourselves and inspire our choices unless we release the fight, step back from the fiery emotion, come to our center and our spirit, and then pray, meditate, listen. In our center point, we can pray for all that we struggle with. We pray for George Floyd and his family and everyone whose pain his death has touched. And yes, we also pray for those police officers, for the transformation of their minds, their cultures, and their families, that their families would be touched by this and have a change of heart and awakening. When we engage in prayer, we bring all into the heart for the greatest outcome, for the good of all. When we are in prayer, we are in blessing, and it changes our own psychology and emotion. For at least in that precious moment while you are prayerful, you are out of the outrage or the fear or the worry or the anxiety, and you are in the flow of spirit, blessing all life as it is, and evoking a higher expression of being. But don't forget that with every prayer must come meditation. For if prayer is talking to God, then meditation is listening. And we must listen now more than ever. More than ever. What does the universe want me to see? What does the universe want me to do differently? What does the universe want me to know differently? And then that's where we move from the spiritual into the mental, into the intellectual. We take our time of love and wisdom, seated in our center, protected in our spiritual practice, and we move it into the creative field of the intellect. What can I do to be helpful? How can I care for myself and the world? Can I help register people to vote? Can I sign petitions? Can I go out on the street? Can I offer a hand? Whatever it is that rises in your heart, whether it's justice for victims of violence, whether it's healing for victims of sexual abuse, whether it's helping the homeless, whatever it is. No one is here to tell you what you must serve, but if you stay rooted in your heart and soul, then service will arise of self and society, and you, only you, can feel and know through the creative power of your mind what that could look like. So create your plan, do your research, ask, how can I be a part of a new way of being for all? How can I stay committed to the end of suffering, no matter how futile that path may seem? And from that intellect, engaging its power and our ability to transform self and others, we move into action, the world of the body. From spirit into mind and mind into body, we now say something, do something, march, sign, talk, listen, whatever the action is. Change the way we shop, change the way we eat, change the way we turn a blind eye to the suffering of those who do not have the privilege that we have. And we do something. The physical realm is about moving energy, and whether you're stuck at home or out in the world, you can do something. But do it from the heart of spirit, not with words of blame, but with words of learning and reconciliation, not with fists of violence, but with open hands to help, to heal, to create new conversations, new pathways, new decisions. And then, after we have tested and tried what the Spirit has given to our minds through dream and vision and listening, after we've engaged the physical attempt or expression of it, we return to the emotions as the last step in the cycle, to feel if we really showed up as best we could, if really we were accountable to the love that we speak, to the oneness that we preach, to the spirituality that we claim is our center point. We return to the emotions to see how it feels. And when you come to your emotions from this perspective, from this path, spirit to mind, to body, to heart, then the emotions are an unfailing guide, a radar, a map, a compass, and they will tell you again and again if you are in alignment with your highest good and your expanding consciousness of relationship to all things. It's that nagging little feeling, I probably could have done more. I probably should have said something. That didn't come out the way I meant it to. And where do you go from there? You repeat the cycle. We gather again in spirit. We pray again. We meditate again. We talk to the universe. We listen to the universe. And then we let the vision come forward. How will we be? What can we be? We take action again, try it differently, try it creatively, and then again, we move into the evaluation. So, there is a way forward, but we must find the balance. You should be outraged by the inequity of our world, that there are more billionaires than ever, the number increasing every year, and yet more people who struggle below the poverty line every year. It is not a coincidence, it is connected. And whatever your politic, right, left, in between, or somewhere up and down, there is always a path to greater balance. Whether you are pursuing equality and social care for all, or whether you believe in a competitive system, from spirit, from the heart, there can still be a consciousness of connectivity, of collaboration, of oneness. No top performing competitor in the world that sustains what they do can do so with dignity when their opponent is disadvantaged. No Super Bowl football team wants their opponents to show up after the bus for the team crashes and they're all in bandages and crutches. There is no dignity in that win. There is no competitor in the Olympics or any dignified form of competition that you can think of. No sustainable form of competition, no performance-based form of competition that wants their opponent to suffer before the match. We want it to be a level playing field. So even if you feel that the world somehow needs difference and competition, fair enough. But right, left, or in between, we need a level playing field. We need to care for the safety and dignity of others. We need a baseline that shows a dignity for all humanity, or we are living from that first cycle of violence where fear rules, hatred rules, division rules, and in the end, we all suffer. For if we've learned anything from science, it is that the world is a living system, and all organisms are interdependent. And we too are interdependent with those different from us. We too, every one of us listening, must learn to learn again, must learn to hear the stories of others who we never thought of listening to before, and change that cycle. Invite them from the anger, the pain, the racism, the hatred arising from oppression. Invite them into spirit. Share their story. Hear their story. Share your story. Hear your story. Affirm our interdependence. Seek creative solutions. Try them. Invest in them. And feel our way forward from the heart together. There must be no denying the pain of others or the wounds of those who have been hurt through power and the powerful. But while we affirm our need, all of our needs, to feel our wounds and our fears, that must be our point of connection. And here is where we close today. Our connection must come through the awakening to the reality that we all suffer, that there is pain and imbalance in every household, and that is not the reason to divide. That is the point from which to unite. For not only must we love and care for all those, especially who are unlike us, who do not have the privileges that we do, whoever that is. And whatever your privilege is, whatever your color is, whatever your background is, gender, sexuality, whoever does not have the privilege you have, you must ask, what can I do to share mine? What can I do that we might grow together, move out of the fear cycle and into the spirit cycle? This is our way forward, and we can do this. In fact, if we are to sustain for our 7th generation forward, then we must do this, whether it's in small, small ways at home or grand gestures in the world. Return to spirit. Listen to what life longs for in its expressions, for its family of creation, and then find your place as a good relative. Love, serve, and mourn for those in need. See and feel the pain, for that is not feeding the pain, it is dignifying the soul that feels it. And from that place together, when we listen, when we love, when we let go, and when we learn, we can overcome anything on this planet. And I pray to God we will. So, we're coming to the end of our time. And I have a couple of special readings that I would like to share with you, very relevant for the end of today, and some things beautiful that you may want to read yourselves again. But before I do that, don't forget, tomorrow at 1 o'clock, you can still sign up through our website. We have Shamanic Mysticism, a class that I'm teaching live and online, and that is about moving through the consciousness of oneness into a relationship with the living awareness of all beings. We also have Hello Energy, Alice Brink's new 4-session class starting Tuesday, June 1st. So make sure that you look and don't miss your chance to get into that. Wednesday, we have another in our free online night classes coming from Karina Smith, Breath and Embodiment, June 3rd. We also have more upcoming sessions, Qigong, healing meditation. Thursday, 11 o'clock, we will have another live Zoom explorations group, also free. And don't forget, we are still raising funds for the transformation of our dining room furniture with Riley Hall, his family, Wayne, and his mama, Emily, as well as Daryl, who works tirelessly for us all at the Althea Center. Thank you, Daryl. Lest it be said, if we are going to continue this work together so that we can continue it with strength and focus, we invite you to donate generously. You can actually become a monthly regular giver. If you search our donation page, you'll see how you can do that, and then it's just automatic. You don't even need to think about it on Sundays. And you can also follow the links that are posted during the Sunday service or online and help yourself to help us to create this virtual and real place of peace for one and all. So once again, I want to thank you, each and every one, for being here today. I want to thank you for considering the message of the day and what we can do for each other, not only to keep our community strong, but to keep our society strong. And if you're here in the United States, to keep this country strong and moving towards a place of harmony between all people, all sides, all cultures, that we might create a sustainable future together. And so we close with two prayers. The first by Anwar Fazal, the recipient of the Right Livelihood Award in Malaysia, and also a reading from Nelson Mandela. So I invite you to close, take a breath, let your eyes shut. Find and feel your way into your heart and the silence that holds all things. Notice what has resonated with you this morning, and more importantly, what challenges you or scares you or makes you uncomfortable. We give thanks for all these lessons and open our hearts and minds to transformation from within, not because of ego or ethics, but because of the beautiful spirit of life flowing through us. And so, with eyes closed and hearts open, we read these closing prayers. We all drink from one water. We all breathe from one air. We rise from one ocean, and we live under one sky. Remember, we are one. The newborn baby cries the same. The laughter of children is universal. Everyone's blood is red, and our hearts beat the same song. Remember, we are one. We are all brothers and sisters, only one family, only one earth. Together we live, and together we die. Remember, we are one. Peace be on you, brothers and sisters. Peace be on you. And Nelson Mandela, after nearly 3 decades in prison for nothing, truly nothing more than the color of his skin and his belief in equality, when freed through all that violence and after all those years of horror, what he called for was healing. The time for healing of the wounds has come. The time to build is upon us. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender, and other discrimination. There is no easy road to freedom. None of us acting alone can achieve success. We must therefore act together as reunited people for reconciliation, for nation building, and for the birth of a new world with love, wisdom, and safety for all. So thank you again. Be sure you pay attention to our Facebook posts throughout the week. Lots of great stuff coming up. Make sure you're getting our newsletters. And of course, you can also track me down if you want to learn more about what I'm doing within and beyond the Althea Center. We love you, we thank you, and we pray a good day for one and all, peace and harmony for all who suffer, and a new world of balance beginning yesterday.